Guys, well, we're about to find out right now in the first set. Let's go to our casters.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the desk. My name is F. Joined here by Graham one more time, and this time we actually have a player with us. It's going to be Polar Bear Mike, the support from Eager. So good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
I'm not doing too bad, but big talk is you join us on the desk as well, because you've got a good opposition to face tomorrow as well. You've got Cloud9 now. How do you feel about that one?
Feeling pretty confident. We're excited to play them. But for now, we're just watching the EU games.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got Cloud9 and Eager heading out tomorrow. Of course, that's the second round. But we're still in the first round as far as Europe is concerned. And the game we're going to take a look at first will be London Conspiracy versus Titan. You heard the analysts break it down. A lot of them think that it's going to be Titan favored because of the LAN experience. But as far as just pure gameplay is concerned, London Conspiracy has really shown up a lot.
It's not just the analysts, though, that have been saying this. I mean, the viewers at home as well. I did a little poll earlier on just to see the gauge of people over in EU, and 75% of people are saying Titan are the favourites for this. I don't see that personally, because LC are 4th seed. LC are the higher seed. They've had a better run of the season so far. Titan have had transitions in the solo lane, and they've still not found form yet.
Well, you know what it comes down to? As far as, like I said, pure gameplay, I think you give it to London Conspiracy after watching their performances split. But as a lot of the analysts said before, Titan has the experience at LAN multiple times. Plus, not for nothing, Worlds last year, they were number 2. We almost saw them win. So I posed the question to you, Polar Bear Mike. I mean, what weighs heavier? Is it just the recent experience or the historical experience that you want to take into the finals?
I definitely think LAN experience weighs in, but I feel like London is they have a lot more momentum on their side. They finished the second half of the fall split a lot stronger.
Oh, yeah.
And we've actually played them a couple times at this LAN to, just try to get some friendly scrims, and they look really strong, and I think they're pretty confident going into this.
So when you actually look at London Conspiracy, what's it like to play the EU teams? I mean, you've seen them from afar, I guess, but it's not been, at least you personally, you've not had that much experience against EU. Is it a different sort of meta to an extent?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different
meta. What's the differences?
I think they're a little more passive. We kind of try to push any inch that we get, give us an inch, we take a mile, that sort of thing. Whereas EU, they won't really invade your buffs. They'll just look to group at gold or mid camps, do just the normal stuff, and they try to get their farm and get online and make their comps do what they do.
That's what Bickham was saying. He was saying that one of the largest really things to notice about the difference between North America and Europe is really the pace of the game. And when you look at a team like London Conspiracy or more specifically Titan, pace of the game is very important to these guys. So looking at how London Conspiracy has performed this split, usually we see them, they like to go for sort of mid-game strategies, where Titan, don't be surprised to see late-game stuff, especially in their jungle. Repikas and PrettyPrime both tend to lean towards late-game-oriented gods.
I am surprised by picks and bans already. I don't know who drew this one up, but Titan have a terrible time. Sorry, they have a good time on order side. So I feel like Titan got choice of first pick for the first game here.
Yep.
Not 100% certain, but Titan this season, 33% win ratio on Chaos side. It means they lose 2 out of 3 times they're on the Chaos. Normally, from experience, you normally want to see teams go for the second pick option so they get the counter pick and 2 priority picks. It's strange that Titan have really struggled with that this season.
Either way, as far as the actual bans are concerned, we've got pretty predictable stuff off the bat. No Khepri, no Hell, and a lot of teams are a little bit cautious about Sol.
I was going to say, I mean, from EU, the top bans this season were Hell, Khepri, Circuit, and Giannis, and you can see on that scale there, the only real difference in that is the Sol being banned away. What does Sol bring, Mike, to the game? Is it generally the Hunter role we always see her in?
Yeah, it's normally the Hunter role, and Sol just has an insane amount of lane pressure. She wins almost every lane. There's in the past of dual lane, it's normally been the Guardians that dictate who has lane pressure, but Sol is one of the only ADCs where if you lock her in, you know that you're going to lose the lane if you're on the other team.
Taking a look at the picks and bans right now, Athena locked in for London Conspiracy, and we're looking at the Guardian right now. It's EmilZy, and right behind him is Deathians, the coach. Of course, here at Super Regionals, coaches are allowed on stage and in comms during picks and bans. And speaking to LC during the regular season, Deathians has been a really big part of what makes this team tick. Option over to Titan, Thor's locked in, and once again, you see their coach looming in the background. and his name is Berg.
I expect the theme to be a big contested pick between these two teams. EmilZy, very aggressive frontliner for his team. He's mainly an initiator. He's not very good at sitting back, and like Kepri, he's not a big fan of that. He likes to be the one going forward, initiating for his team. Athena, Geber is big two go-tos. Makes sense to see him draft that one, but we're seeing an old-timey coming out from Kanyelife here.
Exactly. You mentioned the Athena being the Athena and the Geb, more defensive-oriented with a little bit of setup. Ares is just pure aggression. This is what Titan brought to the finals. It's what almost won them pretty much Worlds, taking a look at last year's performance. Mike, when you take a look at Athena versus Ares, these characters aren't necessarily going to go head-to-head, but they're going to impact their teams and the play style of the teams. What are you looking at as far as each side?
Well, something I've noticed is that European supports really like picking Ares against Athena because it makes the Athena have to be cautious about dashing into taunt, which makes Ares' entire team safer. And it's a weird dynamic because normally Ares is a Guardian who isn't known for having a lot of peel, but just because of the threat of his damage, Athena can't initiate as often as she'd like to. So it'll be maybe a little bit more of a stalemate than normal.
Well, we've got this composition I can see from Titan here as well. With their Thor locked in, there's two gods there that are going to be looking to force beads as often as possible. You've got the Thor to try and initiate, get the beads off, and then Ares can go in, or vice versa. And if Ares manages to get a good pull off, they've got Zeus sat in the background there, just waiting to deal all that damage.
You'll see that London Conspiracy banned out the Neith. Neith is usually selected, and for a long time, even before the Zeus rework, Neith is selected usually in tandem with Zeus, just to give him a little bit more protection. Having that peel from a distance is usually very powerful, but with Neith banned out, we'll see the Hunter selected for Titan as Xbalanque.
Well, Ataraxia as well in the Hunter role so far. He's not actually played that many different gods. He's gone to Hoyi and gone to Xbalanque. Take into account, he's only played 10 gods in this Hunter role this season, but there's one clear thing with the new war locked in. We're going to see once again Brotuz on a mage in this solo lane.
It might work out. The mages have worked out for Titan in the past. And don't forget, historically, Titan was known for their mage rage. It was a different player in that solo lane, but Confrey and PrettyPrime were very popular for picking two mages and having that burst damage come together later on. We'll see if Brotuz can do the same thing. But in London Conspiracy, we didn't even touch on the Scylla, but that Scylla and Naja combo, there's a very obvious combo right there. But with that said, Scylla has a lot of trouble getting to the stage where she's effective. So we have to see how well PrettyPrime can actually pilot the character to get there.
I would definitely keep a close eye on that combo. It's something they've actually ran against us in scrims over the last couple of days. And an interesting thing that Aero will do is that he will not build Vamp Shroud, and he will go Boots 2 into Purple Pot to try to make up for Scylla's weaker early game, and he will try to get Pen Boots online as quick as possible, and they will look to combo somebody at level 5 and just kill them off the bat.
So they're looking for the full level 5, get the kill onto Scylla potentially if possible to make sure it secures it. But even if it goes to Nija, it's not a bad thing either.
Oh no, not at all. It gives them a ton of pressure if they get that kill, and it's really hard to play around because most people don't buy beads out of base.
Well, it's going to be against Titan though, and Titan are very, very well known for their Scylla plays as well. PrettyPrime played it a lot previously, so they should have an inkling with that combo being on the table that it is a threat to them this game. What should Titan be looking to do to try and avoid that then, Mike, would you say?
I think you can just out-rotate the Scylla. Like, even though the Scylla is going Purple Pot, you can probably still out-clear it in mid and then rotate to duo lane. I just wouldn't try to fight it at level 5. Fighting a Naja at level 5
I agree. I mean, you've got also Nuwa and Zeus, so whichever one goes mid lane, they're going to out-clear a Scylla easily.
Yeah.
Aero with 0 items online. Usually what we see here out of the players that use the power pots is they'll sit in base, and it's a very, very standard sort of fundamental in the sense that in order to get the most timing out of that power pot, you'll sit in base until the last possible moment. Usually around negative 17 seconds or so, you can still make it to your buff with a little bit of time to spare. And there's that start you were talking about, the boots too. Now, how does this affect the sustain as far as losing Vamp Shroud? You're going to lose some of that sustain, but how much of an impact does that actually make?
You do lose a little bit of sustain, but Scylla's a very safe god, so he shouldn't be taking too much poke, and if they do have to take poke from tanking a wave or buff camps, it'll just be the Naja anyways, so as long as he positions himself correctly, it shouldn't be too bad.
And that's going to be really key, because up against a Thor and a Zeus as well, one good wall, and you could get wombo by the chain lightning, and then you could be bursted down.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of kill potential if they choose to contest mid camps for the Thor Zeus.
Very, very careful then in this lane. He position himself right, and things could look good for them, but you can see the game plan from both these teams coming into it. And with the EU sort of style and trend for the most part, we're probably going to see the same old we'll see fights, but they'll be all centered around a buff or an objective afterwards.
And I think that these fights are going to be all-in fights. A lot of times occasionally we'll see what happens is the teams will come in, a couple of players will die, and then they'll disengage, and it'll be a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-2. Looking at the compositions that you have here, specifically Titan, there isn't a lot of frontline. So it's going to be all-in Nuwak combo, stun into Zeus combo, and we hope we win, because if we don't, somebody's going to smack us. Repikas is going to have to be a frontliner later on.
Well, Repikas actually gone for power pot here as well, whereas Cherryo across the way chose the boots option not to go for that power pot, which is surprising. If you said they've run against the human scrims, I expected them to maybe look for that power pot start on the jungler.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised they didn't, and it actually could have worked out here, because if you saw, because of the chaos side of the map, Scylla actually out-cleared the Zeus first wave, and they did split mid-harpies, which is good enough, but maybe if you see that power pot out of the Naja, the clear's a little quicker, and you might get both.
Well, they didn't end up getting both for now, as you can tune in with the duo lane here. And EmilZy going aggressive as always in this lane. This matchup, on paper, it looks like it should go 50-50, really.
Yeah, well, kill potential is definitely on the side of Ares for the most part. That's normally how he goes in lane.
But the push.
Right, but push is just in Athena's favor, unless Ares just chains the dash right away, yeah.
Yeah, really puts the pressure on. That copy's going to be taken by London Conspiracy there. The junglers sticking together. They're heading for that level 5, and we'll see if what's happened will happen. But Taunt left-hand side, pressure once again.
That's a lot of poke. And now Ataraxia is very low on mana too, so he won't be able to spam his abilities.
Does have the mana potion though, so it's not going to be too bad for him, but he's still a bit of an awkward position.
But they still make him waste the potion, so it's still a good win for London.
Boots and Death Toll on that Xbalanque. Some of the North American hunters that we've seen play Xbalanque opt for the Transcendence 2 start, giving them a little bit more potions. So you do have a decent amount of potions with the boots. You just lose a lot of that raw mana pretty much that the Transcendence is able to give you.
We can see actually, we were talking about Najar in the jungle by Cherryo there. He went back to base very early, finished off his boots, so he's going to have that extra power available to him. I think that's why he didn't go for that power pot at the start.
Right. If in about a minute, I would look for them to try to get a pick on these 3-minute mid-harpies, and maybe even in lane if the Naja and Scylla are ready to combo. Naja should hit 5 off this wave.
Definitely. I believe it should be anyway. Let's just have a little check and see if he does. Yep, there you go, level 5, and he's looking already for the pick on Repi.
He doesn't have his crush. This might not be a kill.
There it is, right there. Aero over the top, combining with the stun, taking out Thor for first blood right in the middle lane, right before the 3rd-minute mark. And that's what we said. It was a very obvious combo picking up. That's why you saw a lot of Conspiracy wait until the last point. They didn't want it to be counterpicked. They didn't want it to be banned. It's very much just what goes up must come down.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Most junglers and mids do not back for beads early, and you saw Thor didn't have beads, and it's just a free kill every time.
Free kill every time. So Repikas with the first blood goes to Aero as well on that Scylla. We mentioned it's not a bad thing to have it on the Scylla or the Naja at this stage of the game, but I'm pretty sure Aero will be happy that the game plan for LC has worked out strong for them so far.
And also another thing to notice, now 4 members of London have beads against an Ares, so it'll be very hard for Titan to find picks to come back into this game if they play very passive on London's side.
Do you not just look for the full wombo then, maybe in mid lane from Repi? You look to dunk down on the Scylla, followed up by the damage from Zeus, and then if it just does survive, you've still got that new war to just throw out the flash
best case scenario is that the Thor and Zeus pressure alone just bait out some actives for the Ares so he can be a little bit more aggressive, but as long as London position themselves properly, it'll be really hard for them to do.
And I think that's part of what Aero's going to do here as well. Going to have the beads, and I'm a monster with the immunity to be able to back away if he gets engaged on. So 2 different ways of escaping with actives to an extent.
But like we just said, there are a lot of ways to bait beads. And I mean, you could even just have Ares walk up to Aero if he doesn't see him in the jungle, just chain him, that's instant beads. Or if you get his ult, then they can't do their wombo combo. So either way, you could get a lot of pressure off your team.
With that first blood, that's pretty much the only lead we're seeing here in the game. Supplemented a little bit by farm, I suppose. There's 1,000 gold separating these 2 teams. It is very, very early on. But London Conspiracy, I love how quickly they've gotten the beads. Usually, sometimes you see the pro team, even the pro teams at the pro level, a lot of times beads are bought reactionary to Ares, where I got messed up by Ares, now I'll buy the beads. Well, London Conspiracy with a step ahead right there.
Yeah, it happens with solo laners a lot too. They're like, oh, I know there's an Ares in the game, I should get beads, but I don't have to get it yet. I need my TP, and I need boots, I need potions, and all that other stuff.
And then they die, and you lose a gold fury, and they're like, oh, damn, I should have got them earlier.
Yeah.
But right now in this, I think this is a good strategy from London Conspiracy as well, because they realize the way Titan has to get back in, like you were saying, Mike, is they have to find picks in response. But if they've all got beads, it makes it so much more difficult for them, and it just allows them to continue going aggressive.
Huge beads by Kanye
beads from
there.
Kanye, yeah.
Very important. If you take a look at the right side of your screen, you'll see Cherryo. He actually ulted. That's what that noise was. The beads will make your character CC immune, so the Naja ult just doesn't hit. So with that ult down, that's going to be a big part of what London Conspiracy is able to do as far as the snap initiations.
So they've got a few minutes break now, Titan. They should be the ones trying to look for an initiation,
Look
maybe
at
try and
Kanye.
burn some of these
Yeah,
beads. And I
absolutely.
think that's what we can see out of Kanye here, just waiting in the wings.
Kanye's he doesn't opted not to go ahead and go in right there. You see, he does have Blink online, so he's able to pop out whenever he wants, but decided against it with the full wave. Not enough.
The
not
thing
enough
that could be
backup.
hard for Titan as Brotuz gets poked out in soul lane is that because there aren't any.
He's got
Actually,
enough.
there's a
He's
tower
got
guy.
enough. No, he doesn't. Got to get away with the fire shards just in time. He still wants to
He should
commit
be
though.
safe.
Zashu, a little bit too overly aggressive there. That punished him harder than he looked.
Yeah, that should just be a reset. It's so hard to dive a new wall.
He was so tempted to go back in there. That was a
Yeah,
shocking
he
thing. I was
was.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I can't believe he thought about it.
But what I was saying was that even though the Naja ult is down, there's not really a great opportunity to engage because all the buffs are down on the map. So unless Titan wants to group at gold at 6 minutes, it's going to be really hard for Kanye to find an opportunity.
Yeah, that Naja ult down hurts London Conspiracy, but doesn't help Titan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It just takes the aggression away. It's not an ultimate.
It definitely helps with the Zeus, though, because now the Zeus can safe farm. He's already 500 gold behind the Scylla, and now that your Ares is eating beads instead of you having to use
Here
your
we go,
beads.
left-hand side. Big no escape coming out, looking for the pick potentially onto the Athena, but the beads were instantly used. No escape down, Athena. Beads down.
And I think Shaggy actually jumped that Ares out, and the Ares chains didn't go onto him, so he keeps his beads, which is huge.
That is important because I think Thor could have still followed up from that as well when
Right.
Hoyi landed again. But good rotation from London Conspiracy there, just reacting just in case they were still hanging around looking for something with Repikas there. And Repikas, well aware of it, goes back to mid and continues farming.
And I actually, as he engages on mid lane, and
Taunt into the crush.
another good beads.
Yep.
A lot
strong
of active
beats.
baiting, which is really nice for both sides.
I
was
think it
going
is,
to
but
say,
he's,
though,
he's
that
trying
I...
to find something off those, right? That's the big thing. You're looking
Right.
for the beads to
Yeah,
find something
yeah,
off
you
those.
have to. Especially with these comps, all their initiation is off hard CC. You have to get beads down. But I was going to say, I like that EmilZy went beads because now we've seen two supports live just because of beads, whereas they don't have to ult immune it. And what makes Athena so strong is their global presence, so you really don't want to have to waste that for an Ares ult.
Well, that's something to talk about as well, is the fact that supports, for the most part, with the changes to Hog that we don't
Right.
see anymore, every support in the world is like, oh, I get beads if I'm against really high CC
Yeah.
teams. And it means they're not getting picked as often.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
what's
supports
it-
don't, like, them dying doesn't hurt them as much as it hurts their team, because even though you don't need as much farm to get your items and your defense online, you still don't want to get your other lanes behind because you're giving their opponent kills. So it's still really nice to have beads.
8 minutes in here, folks. Still only one kill. A very slow, a slower paced game than what we've seen in the past, specifically from London Conspiracy. Like we said, especially keeping in mind with the Naja on the board, Naja tends to force these early fights. But when coupled with a Scylla, they're two very opposite sides.
I would look for a fight here pretty soon because EmilZy actually just bought Blink out of base, and he knows that Repi's beads are down, and I would expect them to try to combo Repi.
I think that's what all London Conspiracy will be doing time and again. When Nija's ult's available, look for the combo onto somebody to pick a target. And here we go, though. Aggression onto Aero. Chains did not connect there. But
Naja
now
is looking
good
for it.
taunt comes in.
That was a
Naja-
great ult immune by Repi as well. He puts Kanye into the air.
I love the play that Aero just made, switching targets, but the
Missed the
ultimate
ult.
out of the mid laner is going to miss. Crush, on the other hand, definitely won't. Aero picks up his second kill of the game and for his team.
So far, so good, though, for Conspiracy. Things are working out well for them so far.
Yeah.
What
Even
I
though
really-
the ult didn't hit, they still get the kill. That's just how strong the combo is.
What I really liked about that specifically, 10 points to Cherryo. He goes and he initiates onto Thor, who activates his CC immunity right away, and Aero got tricked last time. So he didn't immediately ultimate. He waited for either a beads or an ult, saw the character, and then immediately switched his target, ulted, and the team was ready to react. Incredible reaction time, not just from Cherryo, but also from the follow-up
Very good win
characters.
for Conspiracy again, because after they did that, they did get the speed buff as well away from there because Repi could not go back in for it to defend it. So a small win, they're still winning. No escaping mid lane, burnt though. And with Prime there, he's going to get some good damage off of the chain line and detonate. But it's actually Kanye who's under a world of pressure, but Searing Flash will pick up a kill.
Kanye played that really intelligently. When the mid laner throws out the Zeus shield, Kanye just sat in there, forcing the opponent, if you want to attack me, which LC clearly did, you're going to have to come in here and get charges on yourself. And we saw the result of that one.
Over on the back though, we saw Zashu coming in very deep looking for a potential pick, but against 3 members, he thinks better of it, has to use the Eagles rally, but he's not going to be too upset about that. In this matchup in lane, he's got pretty much a free farm lane here.
Yeah. That's the whole thing with Nuwa, is that you kind of just guarantee your farm and sit under tower, and whenever your teammates need help, you can just throw out your global ult and do a little extra damage for them.
So what we'll be looking for Zashu here on the front side of things. Is he going to be the beads burner as the game goes on, do you expect? Looking for the Eagles rally
No, I
initiations?
think he'll be more looking to zone out the X-Ball, maybe even the Zeus in late game team fights. You really don't want to let them just get free cast off on your team, and if he can do that, it'll be huge because then the Naja, who's limited by her low mobility, or his low mobility, sorry, can just go for free into team fights and really look for those combos.
I think we can see that with the build he's going for as well. He may be going for that Zeus as a target here, looking for the Emerald Talisman. So Stone of Gaia coming up for him as well. Be able to just keep Prime out of these fights as much as possible. We saw that over in North America yesterday where people were trying to deal with the Zeus and stop being so involved.
And I like London's build. If you look at all of them, you see the Soul Eater on the ADC, you see Wingblade on the Naja. They are building a lot of health, which helps against Ares.
Going up in the sky is Nisha, going to look for the dunk down and extra damage, and yeah, there's another kill for Aero, but Repi was here to respond this time, but he's also getting bursted. We did see a pickup for Prime, but EmilZy secured Repi 2 for 1.
Everything's working out for London Conspiracy. They picked a very specific combo in picks and bans, and that's clearly on point, but it's also the rest of the team that's working out as well. So they have something planned, they have something sort of pre-planned, but they're still able to complement that really well.
And the big thing about this combo, I'm sorry to cut you off, the big thing about this combo that you're seeing is that it's made to kill the tank, because now the Ares that just really thrives on early game aggression has died twice, and now he doesn't have defense to be able to go in and initiate as much.
That's one thing about Ares as well. When he uses the no escape, he kind of hovers in the air for a long time. So if Aero keeps getting bigger and bigger, he can just I'm a monster and kill him when he's a free kill in that mid lane.
And eventually Shaggy will just be able to auto attack him like 3 times, and he's dead if he doesn't have enough defense.
So it's just going to start weakening this front line of Titan now, especially with having 2 mages as well.
Right.
They're not going to have as much lane. They're going to have to rely on clay minions a little bit more. And we may end up seeing, I think, Thor transition to a more tanky build.
Yeah, I think you need Thor to at least get a little bit of tankiness online, or else with this Ares that's fell behind already, you're really going to have trouble protecting those mages.
Yeah, Thor absolutely has to transition into a frontliner. That's a lot of times we have the second frontliner or the third frontliner, depending on who you're playing, in the solo lane. And with Brotuz playing the mages, that's really what you lose. So that's why I like the Thor pick so much for Titan, because it's a swingman essentially. You start off as an assassin and you grow into virtually a warrior. On the other side of London Conspiracy, what I like about composition, mid lane, we've got Kanye going up in the air. One does get pulled. Cherryo's in a little bit of trouble, but there's some help out from the mid lane. And Repikas does take out the jungler. Smacked over the head. Zashu makes the rotation out of the solo lane. Brotuz is here looking for the explosion, but that's a full-on retreat. Cherryo takes a spill, but so does Repikas. Both junglers trade.
So who comes out of that fight ahead, Mike?
I think London comes out ahead because you saw Kanye, he beads, and Naja didn't even ult, and even though they do kill the Naja, he's a free kill for them if they try to pick him, because now he can't ult immune it, and he doesn't have beads, and you could maybe see another wombo combo.
I love how long we saw Aero hold the ultimate as well. He held it to the very last second and hit it onto Repikas after the dunk came down. But Titan now, they're going to look for the Goal Fury. They know Aero does not have his ultimate, and EmilZy's going to try and go into contest, but it's too little too late. And now Aero's under pressure from Kanye.
Yeah, and now you don't even have an opportunity to take advantage of those beads. That was so close.
Hanging on by about 5 HP there. Zashu making himself known, smacking around Kanyelife. That's a lot of damage being dealt. Kanye sitting at about half HP right there.
That was a great job by Titan to really push that as far as they could before London could take advantage of the fact that Kanye could have been a free kill because he doesn't have beads, and now London is just going to fall behind.
Well, they're going to get the beads off Repikas, who jumps away. A good wall hitting 3, but he's still under pressure. Spins to win to get some damage out, but he's duking out in the buff, waiting for a support. No support comes.
That was an amazing taunt by EmilZy to get him right as the hammer came out, and he got his beads.
That's really the key point where you want to taunt the Thor, right? After the hammer's thrown before he can teleport to it.
Yeah.
Big taunt onto Prime really again. Prime has to beat, pops his ultimate, but he's not going to hit anyone yet. No escape does not pull anybody in either.
Kanye's really low.
Kanye eats a lot of poke there. As you can still see left hand side, we just saw an ultimate away as well. Kanye forced back and tower under pressure in mid.
EmilZy picks up the kill on the right side. That's where he ulted over to take out Brotuz.
That was amazing awareness to really not chase that Ares who was like 30% in front of you and to listen to your soul laner and go kill Brotuz.
I mean, he also, he charged in, he taunted the Zeus, and then immediately ulted to the right lane, over to the solo lane, and didn't even think about the fight.
And that's why Athena is so strong. You have that insane map presence. You see EmilZy at 2-0-4.
Something small that I want to note before we get too far away from that last conflict in the mid lane. If you notice, so the no escape was launched underneath the tower. Aero started to tank the tower. Repikas in some trouble. Well, actually dealing some trouble.
Oh, the chains missed. He could be out.
He may be out, but I think Repikas could continue chasing. EmilZy does have a taunt available if need be. Prime on the way as well. So EmilZy
stun in 3.
You're right, Mike. He's going to get out, but Repi was really thinking about it, then he wanted to go for the Warhammer.
Yeah, Repikas had a stun in 2 seconds. If that came up 1 second earlier, we might have seen an issue for London Conspiracy on that side.
And I actually had just said a couple of seconds ago that because of the gold that maybe London could start to fall behind. I didn't even realize the XP difference. You see EmilZy 4 levels ahead of Kanye, and for their front line, London is just going to start being insanely tanky, and they won't be able to be killed at all.
And the funny thing is, Kanye's only died twice, but he's been forced back so many times.
Right, he's losing a lot of farm.
It's really hurt him.
And I mean, also look at the positives for what it's worth. 2, 0, and 4. Those 2 kills and the 4 assists are really going to make the impact as far as EmilZy.
And once the sovereignty is done for EmilZy, most likely sovereignty, you'll probably see him try to max that blink so that he can just put insane pressure out on the rest of the map.
And at that point, he's virtually unkillable.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not just because of the itemization, but because of how far ahead.
And it's only going to get worse for Titan, because once he is done with the Sov and the Blink, then he's going to just max his CDR and he'll have a taunt like every 10, 12 seconds.
If you look at London Conspiracies, at the side of London Conspiracy as well, they're the team with the protection strip. You have a couple of these characters that can shred protections, whereas on the other side, Titan, they're depending on their itemization.
Talk about itemization, though. You can see Zashu going for that Frostbound Hammer next after the Stone of Gaia. So when he hits a target, he's going to be sticking to it. And Zashu, for me, has been performing very, very well so far this game. Really surprised by where he's come from. He's looking very aggressive right now. He's putting the effort in, and he seems like he's looking for these rotations to mid lane as often as possible. He's having a very good game for a youngster, first time at LAN.
These players, a lot of them are pretty new. We'll take a brief pause at 16 minutes, 7-3 read the kills right now, and our gold differential sitting at about 3,000 gold in favor of London Conspiracy. So LC has really been turning up. A lot of people came into this contest thinking it was going to go the way of Titan, but London Conspiracy has shown that they don't necessarily need the LAN experience in order to make things happen.
They don't, but at the same time, they've got a composition that's working well together, and it's a good situation for them to be in right now. They look quite relaxed, though, Zashu. Look at Zashu on camera there, just enjoying himself.
Yeah, just no big deal, just kind of relaxing. They do have a lot of smite ahead of them. Don't forget, this is a best of 5. Winner will go on to take on the #1 seed, Epsilon. You'll be able to catch that action not tomorrow, but the day after that. So a lot riding on this.
When you played against LC and they did this composition, what's the best way to come back against this?
You really just have to hope you can find picks. What we did was we actually just tried to kill EmilZy. You see how big he is right now?
Yeah.
And if you can try to stop his aggression, then it really hurts them a lot because they can't push up as far, and Naja isn't very mobile. But the problem is he's huge right now.
That makes a lot of sense
And
as well
ESP.
because, as I said at the beginning, EmilZy for this team is what people say is the superstar for this team. He's not normally a support you don't normally class as a superstar, but he's a leader from the front.
Right.
He's the one that is the guy that does the all the aggression for the team, and it's working out well.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels that could be drawn if you guys were watching the North American broadcast yesterday to Enemy. There's a lot of parallels that could be drawn there in the sense that EmilZy is definitely the general for this team, definitely the shot caller, but a little bit more so in the sense that not only is he calling the shots, but he's also sort of setting the pace of the game from the support role, which is pretty tough. On Eager, there's a lot of different personalities and stuff going on, but how does really the support really sort of dictate how everything happens?
As a support, you kind of dictate when your team is looking to engage and when you can go on targets and who you're going on. And it really depends like what objectives are up. And for EmilZy, not only is he calling where they're fighting, but he's calling targets, he's calling everything for them. And it's really huge that he's so far ahead because now he doesn't have to worry about getting killed.
But there must be so much going on in his head too, because we saw that little engagement in mid where he goes in, taunt, and then still ults to the right-hand side at the same time. So the kid is like on fire right now.
Yeah, he's an insane player. He's absolutely insane.
They were 4th seed for a reason coming into this. A lot of people still had Titan, but at the moment, this is going okay for them. One thing to note, though, Titan, they've been in rough situations where they've been very, very far behind.
Yeah.
And they play to a style like that sometimes where they're like, okay, as long as we're not lower than 15k behind something, we can still win.
I mean, that goes way back to the classic. Titan's been a team that's had the same has had the same core for a long time, going back before last year's World Championships. And one of the ways that this team got there was one of the most unlikely comebacks against sort of a really back against the wall situation. So Titan definitely no stranger to being down and out, although 3,000 gold, definitely not even close.
Oh yeah, 3,000 gold isn't too much. One Gold Fury should bring it back once more. I mean, they got the last Gold Fury in a very good situation for themselves, where they showed their experience more than anything to actually just realize they could go over with those ultimates being down.
And that's what I was about to mention, Hinderman, when you asked, how does Titan get back into it? Well, they're down 3,000 gold, and that's definitely a tangible lead for London Conspiracy, but I haven't necessarily counted Titan out just because of their ability to really grasp opportunities. I mean, there was a 1-for-1 trade in the middle lane that a lot of teams wouldn't have converted that into a Gold Fury, but Titan was able to seize
Yeah, it was
the
a great call.
opportunity and just go right for it.
Aggression onto Prime, going to force the beads once again.
Twice.
All double tap hits from Repikas, but Cherryo is fine, going to heal himself up, and Repi is forced to beads too. Repi gets forced
And that's
back as
completely
well.
fine to trade your ult for beads, even if it doesn't connect, and take them up into the air, because he has near max cooldown. I think he's sitting at 35% right now with the Wingblade and Jotuns, and he'll just do that again in a minute.
Very unfortunate there. You saw Titan actually there both go back to base mid laner and jungler, but they knew there was nothing up in the jungle for London Conspiracy to look to take, so a wide opportunity for him. It's just unfortunate for LC couldn't find anything else.
Cherryo's been paying a lot of attention in this mid lane, and there's a good reason. PrettyPrime really on the top of his game. He's honestly, Titan has kind of stumbled a little bit, but PrettyPrime has sort of remained consistent.
Oh my gosh, Repi is almost evaporated there. Has to roll out. He does
That
get
was
away with the
insane reaction
barest
time
amount
to
of
go
health.
up into his ult
Yeah.
before he was CC'd to death.
But this is Conspiracy realizing they got the speed buff last time they invaded. They're doing it again,
Right.
and they find another win. Get Repi's ultimate. His beads are already on cooldown, and it was beads 3 though, so he should be back
and
up for
and
the
that's
gold
why
fight.
it doesn't even matter if they don't get the kill. They're just getting so much pressure, even in Titan zone jungle, that it's really hard to deal with.
When you talk about that, you can see they actually took away the blue buff and the speed buff on this right-hand side as well. Meanwhile, Hoey in the left-hand lane, pretty much untroubled is Shaggyshenk here up against Xbalanque. He's managed to take the tier 1 tower already, which puts pressure on this Gold Fury again, and he looks like he's going to start this one up, potentially.
Let's take a look. A lot of attention being paid by London Conspiracy on the right side of the map, however. Really starting to... EmilZy seems to be in this lane almost all the time. And the result of that, Zashu's going to go ahead and take the tower.
And there's not a lot they can do because Repikas at the moment, no beads for a few seconds, just come back up now, ultimate on cooldown, and with the Gold Fury threat, he can't really rotate over there and look to help.
Even though it's only at 19 minutes about to be, I think this game might be decided by this next Gold Fury. If London gets it, build a snowball out of control, and I don't see much way for Titan to get back into it.
Titan are in a good position though. They were aware that the Gold Fury is a threat. They're looking for a potential pick onto Shaggy here.
Repi.
All going in. Let's have a listen in though to LC and see how they're going to deal with this situation.
He should beat this. Kill him, kill him, kill him.
Got him.
I'm ulting these two, these two.
Bellona's gonna TP.
That's Nesha beats.
I got ulti, I got ulti.
Nesha ulti.
Bellona TP, Scylla's
Bellona
here.
TP, I'm backing up. We don't have Nua.
Bellona's there.
I got a chain soon.
Bellona's going harm me.
Yeah.
Still out.
Still out.
Has to back out here.
On my way. It's gonna be a
Ready?
while.
Trying to stun them.
Yeah,
Back out.
yeah.
Run away.
Thank you for the stun. We don't have anything though. Yeah.
Should we defend gold actually? Oh no.
No.
If you just get healthy, then maybe. Nesha is 20%. Yeah. Go.
back.
Do damage. Nice done. Okay, back up now. Nice.
That's that stuff.
Yeah, you should be able to get out. Nice. Now if
I'm
you
coming in.
Yeah, you're full HP, so you can go
I
defend
got
gold.
hold in 10.
You can
Do you have a
definitely.
ward? Yeah.
You have a ward? Yeah, Repa's ward.
Oh,
They're gonna do that
Yeah,
again.
I don't think they're
They don't have
going.
OEs, so
You
they
just
can't really
you
start
can
like
probably fight them though.
Yeah.
They're waiting here. They're waiting right here.
Gotta protect
He
Brotuz.
just got.
Yeah, just
I don't
Brotuz
beat,
sits
so I
back.
can't go in.
Repi, you go in first.
Oh,
You
they
go
didn't
in.
do it. They didn't do
They
it.
didn't do it. Okay.
Okay.
I'll get a center for
the
them.
Who he's gonna be up now though, so they're gonna head with him.
Yeah, can you just take farm everywhere?
Still is double stacking. Just
Yeah,
PS3.
yeah.
Only Huyi with that. Huyi
Yeah.
and Athena.
That was actually a listen into Titan.
Yeah.
You couldn't hear that very thick accent is actually Kanyelife specifically. So you hear him really dictating a lot of what's going on as far as the active situation. And you can tell how preoccupied Titan is with this Naja. So much trouble that he's a priority target, and constantly all you hear is beads on Naja, beads on Naja. Naja's at 20, Naja's at 20. Let's go for Naja. So, I mean, there's a lot of situations, there's a lot of abilities for Naja to really get out of jail, pretty much, Mike. Is it a viable strategy to really be focusing this Cherryo? Because he's not even the one that died in that situation.
It's hard not to, because I don't think you can kill EmilZy anymore, and Zashu's really tanky as well.
Oh, they're full. Talk about killing. They're looking for a pick up to Kanye. Again, I'm a monster popped. I'm a monster connects as well. But
Kanye
Kanye survives a
lives is huge.
great wall from Repi to zone out the team coming in. Now he's in the air, looking to come
Backline.
down. We'll find it.
Finds this hit onto the back line, but Cherryo's still going to be all right. He's got that ring and the sash, which are still a huge threat. Even with the ultimate down, Naja can impact the team fight tenfold. But really all we're going to see here is the full-on retreat from both teams. Nobody
Might be Gold
dies.
Fury for London.
As you said, Kanye living is a huge deal.
Well, it looks like they're going to go for the Gold Fury here. Zeus does still have ultimate, and I think they're very wise of that as Titans. So they're just going to back. Sorry, is looking specifically to back away, but taunt from EmilZy forces the beads onto Prime again. A good wall from Repi, just in case there was any follow-up there. But once again, Conspiracy finding these small wins.
Talk to me about that blink before the fire shards hit.
That was great by EmilZy. He's just finding excellent opportunities to get beads, and he's really just putting insane pressure onto this side of Titan.
I was surprised that during that listening, we heard Titan very aggressive. They had the opportunity, they found that pick, but then it all started going, the comms started fading as well as they were losing that fight. And then straight after, I was surprised as well that Conspiracy didn't look straight for the goal for you. Why did they not look for that, Mike? Was there
I'm
a
actually
reason?
not sure. I mean, the fact that Kanye did live was pretty huge because he does have the threat of picking people off with chains. But I think London should force the issue a little bit because you really don't want to stalemate and let Xball get stacked.
They're forcing the issue right now onto Prime, who's going to fall down for a free kill. His ultimate now on cooldown as well. Kanye gets taken to the sky by Cherryo as well. No, he does not. Oh, he does. I'm lying. Kanye did get taken out. I saw Repikas on him. I was like, oh, he got out. Wait a minute, it's a different god.
Either way,
He does fall.
everything's fallen from the sky.
I think Kanye actually missed his beads, and I think Cherryo sashed him, and then he beads, expecting the ult. Cherryo had the patience to wait, then took him up in the air a few seconds later, and he died.
So this is where we get to see the Gold Fury taken by London Conspiracy, and I like the situation here because when you're ahead, I feel like risky Gold Furies are a little bit better opportunity when you're behind because if you don't get it, then the team ahead they get a little bit ahead as they were. But if you're ahead and you lose that risky Gold Fury, now your lead is shrinking.
And now their
just a
lead is
little
huge.
bit.
That 15k XP is insane because
Exactly.
Zashu is the only level 20. That's nearly completely just like a true XP lead.
And look at this. We're going to see a little bit of a split push going on. And EmilZy back to Selmy defend on this right-hand side while the rest of London Conspiracy pushed in the left-hand side. Teleporting from Zashu. And they're looking for pressure onto Ataraxia with that Frostbound Hammer. Zashu did good work. Ataraxia forced back. Tier 2 tower for LC for free.
Yeah, there's no way Titan can get that tier 2 tower. The front line is just way too big for London. You can see EmilZy level 18. He is 6 levels up on Kanye.
Do you reckon your call was right here, Mike, where you said that Gold Fury should be the break of the game here? We could see LC.
Yeah, I
this
think
now?
so. I think it's going to be really hard for Titan to come back.
Well, I mean, previously, when you made that comment, there was a 5,000 gold differential between the two teams.
Right.
And between the two fights that were in the interim and the actual gold tier that's taken, now at 24 minutes, we're seeing a much bigger swing. It's about 9,000, almost 10,000 gold separating these two teams. And even if you take a look at the kills, we've got 7 by way of that. So a large lead for London Conspiracy at the moment. It's only going to grow larger. And honestly, I mean, I'm going to go back to picks and bans, Mike. How much of an impact does it make for Titan that Thor is their only secondary frontliner?
Yeah, so far I'm not seeing a lot out of the new WoW solo. I know that Brotuz was a mid player originally, switching to solo lane, but if you don't have frontline and you get behind, it is very, very, very hard to come back into a game because now London is just going to sit in Titan's jungle and they're just going to look for beads, and once they get enough actives, they're just going to do fire, and there's no way that Titan can fight them.
And the scary thing about this season as well, Repikas's Thor is something we've spoken about for a long time. This season he's played it 11 times and only found 3 wins so far coming into the Super Regionals. It's kind of showing it's still not working for them now.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to get a little bit meta here, Hindu Man. Repikas' style, I always think of Kali's. I always think of characters like Freya back in the day when that was a frequent jungle pick. Late game carries because you had you had the capability for the thick characters in the solo lane. Now with Brotuz, you're seeing a lot of the mages, and they're not, and it's almost forced into these Thor picks.
There's
so
another active.
It's just not able to happen.
Ataraxia has to use that before the Rising Jaguar, and now
And those were 180-second beads too. Those are going to be down to like 28 minutes 30 seconds around there.
Keep an eye on EmilZy then, because he'll be the one looking for that pick onto him time and time again. We've seen EmilZy every time they've got a bees, they've got in. Kanye though goes for a no escape, only finds one target. Aegis by Cherryo. Blinking as well is coming out there. The pressure's still on.
That was actually a great Zeus ultimate to zone off the rest of London from killing Kanye.
Oh, good dump from
Down
Repikas
from
in the back
Repikas.
though.
He's in the middle of London Conspiracy. That might be a problem, and it definitely is. Cherryo seals the deal. Brotuz tries to do what he can from the backside, not able to really seal the deal. Over the top comes Aero, but Cherryo cleans it up with the Swift Ring. Double kills for the tandem of the duo and of the mid and jungle. Brotuz, however, does sneak a kill onto Cherryo.
Brotuz is going to have to fight 3. He may pick up EmilZy as well. No, he will not. Shaggyshenk
If he got EmilZy.
with the swift in hands around the side. Meanwhile, Zashu zoning out Ataraxia, no beads on him, and that's why he seems so far back.
I don't know if this is. I don't think this is fire, unfortunately, for London Conspiracy. I think they're a little bit too low.
Potentially, but
Brotuz did a good enough job to poke out EmilZy so that they couldn't do fire, and it actually would have been really, really big for them if they got that kill because EmilZy's 3-0-10. He's worth a lot right now.
Well, these ultimates are currently still down as well, so you could see them look for the Fire Giant still,
I think
at least
they
pressure
will
again.
start it, but
I think
Repi could rush there. He does have his ult up. it will be hard to steal, but
This is
I
risky.
think you have to go for it.
Well, will he be able to go for it? He's got 30 seconds on his beat, so they won't be up by the time he gets here if he's going to make it in time. The damage they can put out with their levels and the
Nah,
itemization
50.
they've got, it won't take too
I
long.
don't think he'll get there in time.
There's no way, and he knows it. He's not even.
Yeah.
He hovered around.
Yeah.
He's not even going for it. Fire Giant pretty much for free to London Conspiracy off of the backside of that 4-man kill for London
And
Conspiracy
now
in that
Titan
last
can't even
engagement.
secure their own jungle just because of the threat of all these carries with Fire Giant, and they're just so tanky now. I don't think they can defend the tier 2s at all.
You know, Cherryo missed that Fire Giant buff by about a second, but as we are sitting here with all the information in the world, still questioning if Repikas can get there, when you don't know where Repikas is in the jungle, you can't even wait a second.
Kanye overextended here, trying to push down the tier. Once I get some farm on, he is behind, but against the level 20 Nisha,
Yeah, he has no help. He
it's
should
good
just
night,
keep
Sweet
going
Prince.
down here. He does get the ult, but
Smack. That's a kill.
To be fair, Cherryo took a lot of punishment there from those minions, as well as the damage coming out from
and
the
he doesn't
Ares.
have Bumba, so he can't heal off the jungle camp, so he'll just like have to back to go meet up with his team.
I could just use his heal, I guess, if he just farmed
Yeah.
up a little bit
Yeah,
more.
He'll be able to heal-
it'll
he'll
take
be able to heal
either way. It's still
taking
going to
a
be a 4v4 for a little while.
Well, he's going to be able to split push this left-hand side as the rest of his team pressure the mid lane here. EmilZy tanking this one up for them to bring it down with the whole Yi as well. So free tier 2 tower in the mid as well, or tier 2 towers down. Phoenixes remain that Titan have to hold.
London Conspiracy all up in Titan's jungle, just stripping away all the experience and the gold opportunities they can. Red buff will take it. Purple buff will take it by taking these off the map. It's just taking any chance that Titan can have, any small crumbs that Titan can get back into this game completely off the map.
And even though London is all level 20 now, the XP lead is still relevant because now Kanye can't farm. He's 6 levels under. They're just so far down in levels alone.
Repi goes up looking for a potential dunk, and you can see Kanye with a no escape
I don't
there,
think
waiting
you
to
can
see
see
what
them.
beads get used. They're looking for the pick on Zashu, dunking him under the Phoenix. They're looking for a quick pick there, but they're still not finding it just yet.
Ultimate coming down from Shaggyshenk deals a lot of damage, but ultimately, London Conspiracy is the team that's going to have to back up. Titan successfully fields the defense, and a large part of that is Repikas able to get the stun onto Zashu, and then really, Titan just dumped everything
That's
into
the issue,
that
though.
situation.
They dumped everything here. 4 ultimates down. As Conspiracy, Mike, are you just going to go again?
I would. You see 2 beads down, and the Wombo combo is still up.
Yep, that's still readily available. Cherryo and Aero combined early on, and you know, we're seeing a lot of targets onto Kanyelife. I want to see them eliminate a soft target this time around. Can you give us any? Well, hold that thought as they're going in.
Just got
There you go.
deleted
Got
off the
Repi.
map by
There's
a
the
monster.
target.
Still available, but he can't find a second target with that. Oh yeah, yes he can. No, Kanye will survive, but the crush will kill him for a quick double for Aero. This could be the end of the game.
Yeah, that should be game.
The Phoenix is definitely going to fall down off the back of the double kill coming out of the mid laner Aero. And we'll take a look at the mid as well. Mid Phoenix in some trouble. London Conspiracy focusing on the objective while
EmilZy's gonna
EmilZy
die.
might trade his life for the spacing, and he does. PrettyPrime picks up the kill. Will that separate? Will that make this not the win?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, they're
Yeah,
going to back
I
away
think
now.
they'll go back. They'll wait for the next Fire Giant, maybe take gold while they wait, and then they'll just try to stranglehold Titan and then just take it the next
And it's
game.
the safest option, right? I mean,
Right.
there's no reason to overdo it when you're
Yeah,
ahead
you,
in
you
this
don't have to
position.
win the game in 1 minute when you can just win it in 5 for free.
I
So
mean,
there's no
yeah,
need to rush.
there's over a 10,000 gold lead. What I like to do sometimes is let's just take a look at the graphs to see the illustration of how devastating this lead is. Never once in this game was Titan in it.
And you see 7 minutes in. 7 minutes in was when they started to slowly dip in experience. The pressure from this Cherryo's Naja and Aero combo
As
just
soon as
stranglehold.
Aero got that first kill at level 5 with the combo in mid, it just relieved really all weakness that London's comp has, which is Scylla's early game. And once you get a kill, Scylla's early game is not bad anymore. He gets another kill, all of a sudden he's just really strong. He can compete with Zeus's damage.
Now, if you're Titan in this situation going into game 2 here, Mike, would you be looking to take away this combo that they've got themselves set up? Or
I think
you're
I would
looking
get
at
rid of
EmilZy?
the Athena. I think
The
you can
Athena.
deal with a combo. I just think that EmilZy has had so much pressure across the map baiting actives that it's been way too much for Titan to
You
deal
can
with.
see, I mean, he's been involved in 15 of these kills, and
Yeah.
the ones that he's not been involved on, I guarantee you, he's forced those issues anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's 18 total kills. EmilZy showed up for 15 of them, and there was at least a single solo kill.
But the problem here is they banned Khepri, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
So if you want to ban the Athena, then you're potentially giving Khepri to London, which is also very risky.
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, we don't see that too much out of EmilZy because EmilZy's a very
True, yeah, he
frontline
likes
aggressive.
the burst supports. He likes Bacchus a lot as well.
I was surprised that we did see the Khepri banned by them and they didn't look for that
Yeah.
as an option instead.
Right here, teams posturing for the next Fire Giant. Fire Giant poised to spawn in about 15 seconds. Both of these teams now, this is one of the big things about late game Smite. Kanye up in the air, not gonna, well, he actually will grab Cherryo. EmilZy blinks in support. He'll take a big chunk of his life, sitting down to about 50% HP.
Big one. And now look at Repi, he's going to go up and try and find a pick potentially on the backside. Who's he looking for there? Was onto Ho-Yi, but Ho-Yi is not going to be able to get pinned off there, and in the end, Repi has to disengage too. Great fight for Titan really there, Mike. The zoning was great. It worked out the Zeus ult was in perfect position.
Yeah, it was. PrettyPrime really just zoned the entire enemy team off of his support. Kanyelife actually had a chance to die there. Kanye, though, beads. He immuned all the CC. They pulled Cherryo. He didn't quite die, but still a lot of pressure. A stalemate is a win for them at this point. They're so far behind if they just stalemate it.
And here's one problem we see for Titan as well. There is no teleport on their lineup with 2 mages here. Right. They've got fire minions pouring in mid, fire minions coming down the left-hand side too, and you've still got a contested Titan that's under siege once more. Well, Prime's here. What can he do?
We'll take a look right now. A couple of ultimates have fallen down. Zashu gets stunned out, but he does have protection from EmilZy, who's coming on in. Taunt not going to hit because of the beads.
I'm a monster.
At a PrettyPrime. I'm a monster. Going to be on the mark, but off the damage as Aegis prevents it. Up in the air, that's going to be a kill as Kanyelife falls down. Cherryo puts 1 in the K column.
And meanwhile, the rest of the team having to disengage there. Repi goes back to base to clear minions. Now that Ataraxia comes in, good use the Aegis from Brotuz, but he's too little, too late. He'll still fall to Cherryo, who picks up a second double kill in recent times.
5, 3, and 12. You know this combination. We picked it. It was picked with a combo. We talked about a combo, but Cherryo has been doing absolutely fine by himself without the assistance of the Scylla. It's just icing on the cake when he can land into an I'm a monster.
There's the end of the game by the looks of it here. We're going to see the last-ditch defense here from Titan, trying to pick him up with Zeus there as well. They held on for a second, but not too much longer. 1-0, LC, the 4th seed. Well, the 4th seed still so far.
London Conspiracy really coming out on top of that contest, and a lot of it had to do with not just the combo. We spoke so much about the jungle mid combination, but really all eyes on EmilZy. All eyes on EmilZy.
EmilZy had a great game there from a support play.
The pressure he put out on the map was insane, and also Zashu did a really nice job of forcing the new out of lane, and that made EmilZy's job so much easier because now he can afford to just focus on the 4v4 on the other side of the map.
And even when he was going over to Zashu, he managed to pick up kills there, did EmilZy as well in support of that. Only surprising one, Shaggyshenk was the quiet man. He was the one that a lot of people knew and liked about, you know, the London Conspiracy team of old, but this new composition's working.
A little bit. Everybody tends to share part of it when it comes to London Conspiracy. We'll break it down over on the analyst desk. Kelly, over to you.
Ones, guys. You seem to just pick the wrong team, although this doesn't necessarily mean Titan's out. The first thing I want to talk about is the combo gods, Naja and Scylla, really seem to work out well. We don't see Scylla too much, and we don't see Naja too much either. Why don't more teams pick combo gods like this?
I mean, if there's ever a person to choose Naja, it's definitely Cherryo with his wide variety of a god pool. It's definitely an early game god which worked out for him in the beginning of the game with Scylla. The way they comboed it early on and then transitioned that to the Athena joining into the equation was huge for London.
Yeah, Athena did really well. Those taunts were like amazing.
Yeah. They had so many things to force speeds, like they had Naja Sash, they had Athena taunt. Athena can just like walk around the jungle with her dash charge, like walk into a side lane or mid lane, like get a dash taunt, force beads, and Naja comes in, gets an ult, and Scylla combo, and they're just dead.
And Titan were really scared of the Naja, and they kind of had to be too, because what happens is if you don't beads the Naja sash specifically, like they know that they'll eat the Naja ult, and then coming out of that, Aero is just going to have that I'm a monster over the top, and you actually can't react to that in time. Like as long as LC timed it perfectly, there was no way the opponents could react to it.
It was really risky for Aero to do what he did. He started boots 2 and purple pot. If he were to get first blow to like caught opposition with Zeus Thor, which is really easy to do, I think that London Conspiracy would have lost the entire game because he could pretty much just get farmed because he doesn't have any health items. He's so behind his Scylla against his Zeus. But it paid off in the end because they were able to get that first blood on Repikas.
You just mentioned that Titan played really scared, and they kind of needed to because London Conspiracy was constantly in their jungle near that red buff. Why were they invading so hard, and why did it work in their favor?
Well, it worked out in their favor because the Athena just set up the Scylla so well, and the mind games that Cherryo allowed, like every time he sashed, beats happened, right? And then he held on to his ulti sometimes. Sometimes he used it, sometimes he didn't, and that was huge for London to allow the Scylla to get off most of her damage. And we even saw like an early beads from the Ares
That's
to
right.
deal with the nausea, which actually allowed him to survive in one of the early ganks.
But what do you sacrifice by getting beads? You help yourself in the early game, but you're sacrificing something in the late game,
yeah,
right?
Something like Shell usually you see supports pick up. But I feel like Ares' survivability is more important than the Shell for the most part, even though he was so behind. I think he was 6 levels down by the end of the game. But if he were to able to live a little bit longer, that beads would have really paid off. But I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an Athena ban this game because of just how much pressure it put on, because it forced Ares to get the beads as well as a Naja. And it pretty much just won the game for...
Yeah, he was just a great Athena anyway. But I think Ares is most likely going to get not picked this game. He didn't seem to do too well. What do you guys think?
I think that was just the comp they had, and we just saw First Blood on the screen, and this was the plan from London Conspiracy from the start. I think Polar Bear Mike mentioned that he had been scrimming Titan, and that's what they really like to do.
London Conspiracy.
London Conspiracy, and they ran that Purple Pot Scylla. They ran it for the early back for the penetration boots and just wombo combo someone. And I really like the Naja last pick coming out of LC, especially matched up against the 2 mages that Titan was running. Like that's why we saw so many invades, is because they wanted to keep the pressure on. They wanted to make sure the mages fell behind. And I think one of the big keys to this matchup was the soul lane, where Zashu really kept Nuwa in check.
I really don't like the Nuwa pick in solo, especially against something like Bellona. Bellona can literally just free farm, invade all your buffs, do whatever she wants. And if your team is behind when you're Nuwa, you pretty much can't do anything. Like if you're Bellona and you're winning lane while your team is behind, you have a chance to carry the game. But if you're Nuwa and you're kind of stalemating but kind of losing at the same time, you literally can't do anything.
What's interesting was that the Nuwa, she only died once, and that was due to the Athena ulting over for the kill. But I feel like Zashu could have potentially zoned out the Nuwa a little bit more and applied more pressure. And the fact that London was getting more advantages elsewhere on the map allowed actually the Nuwa to just kind of chill and do her thing, because everybody else was getting so much pressure.
She also stacked Warlocks as well, got 100 stacks.
The issue with that is like she's a Nuwa, she can't like carry the game.
Yeah.
A Bellona can definitely carry a game.
So why did they pick Nuwa then? What niche were they trying to fill?
I think it's mostly a comfort pick for Brotuz. Like it's his first LAN, he's in solo, he used to be a mid laner. Nuwa, something that he's really comfortable with. He didn't do bad, but if he had done like a different pick, I feel like something like Xing 10 would have worked really well. The only issue with that is they could have put Bellona jungle in like Hades solo. Hades would just outpush Xing 10 the entire time. That would be the only issue.
We didn't see a ban or pick for Xing, right?
That's correct.
So you think we're going to see that this game?
I'm not so sure. Xing really has a niche as like a Bellona counter, I think. And if there's an option for Bellona to flex into the jungle, then he can really get outpushed really hard by something like Hades or Rot, or pretty much like all mages he has a hard time against.
Titan actually, I believe it was around the 10 to 12 minute mark, they actually got Gold Fury. It wasn't like there was a team fight that happened before that. It was something really small. I think one person died, and they weren't really in the lead, but they were still able to communicate, go get a Gold Fury pretty much for free. Why was London Conspiracy pretty much let them do that?
So what happened was London Conspiracy killed somebody in time, I forget exactly who, and they used Scylla ultimate, and she was at about 40% health or less, and they recognized that the Bellona had to go back to the solo lane, and recognizing that it would be potentially a 3-on-4 in Titan's favor for Gold Fury, they managed to just force it and get it around 13-minute mark.
So what happened with Fire Giant, though? They definitely seemed to struggle around those team fights there. Ares just really seemed to fall flat. He ulted like one person a lot of the times. Of course, everyone's going to build beads against Ares. It just didn't really seem to work out too well in their favor.
I mean, that's Ares' weakness, is getting picked by high-pressure junglers like Naja, and we saw him fall super far behind and really have no impact at the later stages of the game outside of like almost soloing Cherryo maybe. But like my big thing was like he was split pushing as Ares at like what 27 minutes
against Naja, but he almost beat him.
But still, like you just can't like do stuff like that. I mean, he was so low level though. He was up, but still.
If you ask like any pro support, I think they would say like one character you don't want to get behind on is Ares, and that's what happened, and that like led to their loss, I think.
So we saw Soul get banned out, rightfully so. Neath, Hell, Jean Capri, Cirque, very common bans, although we didn't really see too many people banning out Zhong and Soul in North America. Why are they prioritizing that in Europe?
I feel like in North America, they mostly focus on respect bans, like you saw the Thor ban, whereas the Soul Hell ban, those are pretty much just strong characters in general. They really didn't, it's not really a target ban, I feel like.
What about Neath? Neath got banned out as well.
Yeah, Neath, that's because there's a lot of comfortability, I think, with Ataraxia. And if you give them an early game god for Titan, then I think they're kind of afraid of that, this London. So they didn't want, even though they could have potentially picked Neath for themselves, it was banned third. they could have had that option, but they elected to just go with that Hu Yi that they had earlier on.
So what is Titan going to have to do differently in this game to beat out London Conspiracy?
I think they're going to have to stray away from their mage pick. Going to need a more beefy front line. They can't rely on like a guy like Ares in the support role. They're going to have more utility coming out of that with more initiation. So
maybe a Kepri or Geb.
Well, they banned Kepri, so more than likely maybe they'll pick the Athena first instead of Zeus this time around, and we'll see that kind of a meta shift in the picks and bans.
Adonis, how do you feel?
I really didn't like the style that Titan were playing. Like the double mate, they picked a lot of gods that are really bad when they get behind, or are really hard to come back into the game when they get behind. Like the Nuon solo, the Ares in support role. The Xbalanque takes a long time to get online. Zeus needs protection, and they had no like their comp was entirely reliant on we're just gonna kill you with damage, and we saw it come close. When LC went deep into the jungle, but it was rough. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I really didn't like Repikas maxing his Thor against an Athena, or the hammer against an Athena, like, because what he's doing is he's throwing out poke, and then immediately EmilZy's like, there's your escape, I'm just going to taunt you.
Before we toss it to the casters for game 2, Bickham, what do you think that they're going to like ban out? What is Titan going to ban out against London
I
Conspiracy?
wouldn't be surprised if we saw Athena ban. If they are going to let the Athena through, I feel like they need to pick gods that aren't as susceptible to CC. Like they have 2 immobile mages for the most part, except the new ult. They have a Thor who can get CC'd out of all of his abilities. They have an Ares who can just get picked for free. The only god that I feel like does well against CC for the most part is Xbalanque, but it takes so long for him to come online, and it's just really hard. Same thing with Nuwa. If you're behind, you kind of just lose.
Well, we're going to find out right now, guys, what's going to happen in game 2. Let's go to the casters.